Hey, what's happening, Miami Dolphins fans? Welcome back to the Fins Up Network. I am Ben Morgan. Hey, we are essentially one day away from what we can consider some actual Dolphins football because rookies are set to report to training camp on Tuesday, July 19th. This video is released anyways on July 18th, despite the fact that you might be watching it a little further down the line. But I want to continue on with the player profile videos that I've been doing as well. I'll try to hit as many players as possible since these aren't quite as time sensitive as other types of videos. But in today's player profile, I want to talk about Lynn Bowden Jr., his outlook heading into 2022. Does he make the final roster? Can he win the wide receiver four battle after the likes of Tyreek Hill, Jaylen Waddle, Cedrick Wilson? Can he be that fourth guy in the pecking order? Will he be a gadget only type of player? I want to answer those kind of questions. I want to preview his season. But before I get into all this, I want to hear your thoughts. Lynn Bowden heading into 2022. Is he going to be a regular contributor? Is he going to make the team? Whatever your thoughts, feelings are, drop those in the comments below. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you are subscribing. But let's start with present day when it comes to Lynn Bowden Jr. Because what have we seen most recently? We have seen the plethora of videos that Tua Tagovailoa's trainer has been putting out with him training on a regular basis with Lynn Bowden Jr. Now, you can also look back to the 2022 season when the Miami Dolphins wide receiver room was a bit depleted. There was a lot of injuries going around. And Lynn Bowden and Tua built a solid chemistry there, at least for a few weeks. The stats, you can see them on the scroll there on the bottom. They aren't eye-popping, but they don't really tell the complete story either. When Tua was in a pinch, when they needed a wide receiver to make a play, Lynn Bowden was the guy. And while the completions weren't for huge chunk yardages and they didn't go for touchdowns necessarily, he was going to Lynn Bowden in important times of that game. I got a highlight right here I want to show you. This is Tua having faith and confidence in Lynn Bowden on the third down against the Patriots. He's going to start kind of in the slot on the right side of your formation. He's going to let everyone clear out. And then Tua's going to hold on kind of last second and make the completion for a first down to Bowden. So he kind of hangs out, lets it clear out, gets to the sticks, makes his cut, makes the catch, makes the guy miss, and turns it upfield from there. I'll show it to you again since you know where he is. But this is the kind of faith that Tua Tagovailoa ended up developing with Lynn Bowden over the stretch of those games because that was the guy that he had to go to. And I know these offseason workout videos, they get blown out of proportion. We know that they do. But you can't deny the fact that the time that these two players have spent together doesn't at least help the chemistry. It's all about the reputations, and they are getting a ton of them together. So when you look at what's coming up with training camp, like I said, rookies are reporting tomorrow. Veterans are a little bit later down the road, like a week down the road. With the battle that Lynn Bowden is going to be in, which casts a super wide net, by the way, he could be anything from the team's fourth wide receiver to potentially not even making the team. So when it comes to looking at which wide receivers are flashing and who's being the most consistent, you've got to think going into camp, Lynn Bowden has a solid advantage over a lot of these guys because of that chemistry from the offseason, because of that chemistry from the 2020 NFL season. Now, I want to take the next step here and look at what could potentially go wrong for Lynn Bowden this offseason. What could lead him? What could potentially hold him back a little bit? What could put him in the backseat of that training camp battle or even cause him to, hey, maybe even be a surprise cut? First, let's look at outside of those top three guys because the top three in this room are heavy. It's Waddle, Hill, it's Wilson. It's going to be a dogfight at the wide receiver position for whoever else this team keeps after training camp, after the preseason. There are some fringe guys that would be considered long shots to make the roster. You're looking at guys, Cody Core, Devontae Dedman, River Cracraft, Braylon Sanders. But there are also quite a few guys that are basically in the same situation as Lynn Bowden, where they could be the team's fourth wide receiver in the pecking order, or maybe they don't even make the team. It's the guys like Preston Williams, like Trent Sherfield, like Erik Ezukanma, although Ezukanma in my book is a slam dunk to make this roster. So I'm not worried about that. But long story short, you're going to have to maximize your reps and prove your worth in training camp if you're going to stick on this team's final 53-man roster as a wide receiver. And hey, let's put it this way as well. There's also a chance that Miami could see Bowden maybe a little too similar to a guy like Jaylen Waddle or Tyreek Hill and prefer a guy just strictly with a different skill set. Additionally, Mike McDaniel, what's his history? What's his past? He's got faith in Trent Sherfield, in River Cracraft. He's got a relationship with those guys. Does he have past history? Does he have past relationship with Lynn Bowden? It's not there. It's not there to the extent it is with a couple of these other guys. And lastly, we can't ignore this. One of the commenters on our community page put this out there. You can't deny. Okay, so Erik Ezukanma, he's 6'3", he's 205. So he's not much heavier than Lynn Bowden, but he's taller. He's a bigger bodied guy. But what's surprising about him is some of his biggest strengths coming into the draft out of Texas Tech was his ability to create after the catch, to get those short slants and go from there, to take those bubble screens and make people miss and get chunk yardages that way. Did drafting a guy like Erik Ezukanma potentially make Lynn Bowden expendable down the line? Because you know that the Miami Dolphins aren't going to shortchange Ezukanma when it comes to giving him the chance to succeed. I mean, they spent a 4th rounder on this guy. Wes Welker, the wide receiver coach, has faith, went to the alma mater, probably played a role in that selection. I think everyone's is kind of on that flow with this pick. But let's put that negative aside for a while and let's look at what his role could look like in 2022 if he makes the squad and he finds himself in that position to see offensive snaps on more of a regular basis. And I'm not one to put that Deebo Samuel comparison to any player or even seek out a player that needs to fill that role. But I see Lynn Bowden as a player that Mike McDaniel can create packages for and find ways to get him the ball and just let Lynn Bowden create because of the skill set that he has. And to be honest, we don't have actual evidence of Mike McDaniel doing this yet as a head coach. But all signs are pointing to McDaniel having that ability to take advantage of mismatches and build upon plays throughout the game in like that chess-like manner. Earlier in the offseason, I should say, when the Dolphins hired Mike McDaniel, I brought on John Chapman, who does a lot of coverage of the 49ers. I specifically brought him on to talk about Mike McDaniel, to try to get into what skill set does he bring. And John's, the biggest thing that stuck with me was the words chess-like manner, how he has plays that build upon each other throughout the game and how everything is calculated. Like, if I do this in the first or second quarter, by the third, fourth quarter comes around, what you saw in the first and second quarter is going to already be in your head, and it's going to be something that looks similar but is completely different. So he has a player in Lynn Bowden that he can move all over the field. He can be in the backfield. He can be in the slot. He can line up at quarterback. He could be outside receiver. You can bring him on end arounds. You can give him direct snaps. When Lynn Bowden is on the field, he is a threat to pass the ball, to run the ball, to catch the ball. And I know there's been chatter about Lynn Bowden maybe strictly being like a gadget type player. And the skill set does kind of trend that direction. But there's evidence at the NFL level where he is more than that. And I got another video here I want to show you of him catching more of a mid-range pass from Tua in a crucial point in the game as well. This one, he starts, I believe, on the left side of the field. I'll show it a couple of times. Crucial point in the game, once again, though, showing that faith and that trust with Tua. And he's going to catch this ball more so in the middle of the field. I apologize as well because I cut the video a little bit short. But now that you've seen it, I'll show it to you again. But he runs that route, and Tua basically threads that between like 2 or 3 different guys. But not only does Lynn Bowden go up and make the catch, not in a gadget way whatsoever, but he makes that catch, he takes the hit, holds the ball, and gets up and shows the wherewithal, like, hey, we got to get going, if you notice the time on the clock right there as well. But Lynn Bowden is like that Swiss Army knife type of player that is perfect for that chess game that we anticipate seeing from Mike McDaniel. And think about how much attention Jaylen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, how much attention they're going to command on every single play. That equates to more space, to more opportunities against lesser defenders. You know the top defenders are gonna be following Gesicki and Waddle and Hill. So you're going to get more space, more opportunities against lesser quality defenders for guys like Lynn Bowden. Before I wrap this up, though, I do want to show one more video of Lynn Bowden kind of being in that gadget type role. It's the reverse that he ran against the Patriots. We'll show it here. He's going to get the second flip here. And it starts off as a designed pass. It's not there, so Lynn tucks it, jukes quite a few guys, finds additional blockers. And here's what I like too. Like, he turns this back up, and the defender made a nice tackle on him there. But what that, and I don't want to compare these two players. I'm going to say the name Jarvis Landry, and Lynn Bowden and Jarvis Landry are very different from each other. But Lynn Bowden took that play, which was almost a negative because his guy wasn't there on the one read. You're not running that play with too many reads for Lynn Bowden to throw that pass. But he tucked it, he ran it, he made a juke, found more blockers to block the defenders. And rather than just trying to get down and say, okay, I got some yards here, he turned it upfield. He tried to make it as much as possible. And that's what you get with Lynn Bowden. You're getting a player that is going to try to maximize every single opportunity that he has. And I loved that about Jarvis Landry. And I think that we can learn to love that about Lynn Bowden. But honestly, only time is going to tell as to what actually plays out for Bowden, for the Dolphins, for the wide receivers on the team right now. But if I'm going to make a prediction today, I think he makes the squad. And I think it'll be between him and Erik Ezukanma as to who gets the most run for the team, kind of in that wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 role. But that is what I have for today. Like I mentioned, give me your predictions for Lynn Bowden for the 2022 season in the comments below. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you are subscribing. But that's what I've got for today, Dolphins fans. Until next time, fins up.